The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, has assured the public that there is no imminent increase in the cost of premium motor spirit, commonly known as petrol. In a statement issued following online reports of plans to increase the pump price of fuel to 900 naira per litre, NNPCL Limited is urging Nigerians to disregard such unfounded rumors, as there are no plans for an upward review of the PMS price. Motorists nationwide are advised against engaging in panic buying, as there is presently ample availability of PMS across the country. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited says that subsidy payment on premium motor spirit was entirely removed by the federal government and not reduced, as been insinuated in reports on some online platforms. The Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria has also denied reports suggesting an increase in the price of PMS anytime soon. In a chat on the Arise Primetime show, President of the IPMAN, Abubakar Migandi Garima, downplayed reports of a confrontation between his association and the NNPC Limited. He says there are no immediate plans to increase prices of petroleum products, and also he shed more light on other issues in the oil sector.
There is one thing that Nigerians should try to understand. The NNPC, they are the sole importer of this petroleum product. Right. And when they say there is no subsidy, definitely there is no subsidy, because they are the only importer. And the rumors that is going for the increment actually is not true, because up to the present day, we didn't had anything from the NNPC for increment. And we advise all our marketers to go to the various depot, both NNPC depot and private depot owners depot, to see that they loaded their products.
Right.
All the product that you see in Nigeria today is only NNPC is importing this product. We independent marketers were not importing a single liter to the country. We highly depend on the importation of the NNPC. When they imported this product, then when they give us our own quota, we just go and carry our own quota. So we are not part of people who are importing the product. Definitely, it's not an ideal situation, but you know it's a government plan. And we too, we are trying to our best to see that we sit down together with the NNPCL, so that we too, independent petroleum marketers, they will allow us to start importing. You know, presently now, there is no any increment.
Right.
Presently. And we didn't receive any communication from the NNPCL that there is an increment. So we are still buying the way we have been buying before. So that is the reason why we tell all our marketers they should start selling their product in their various stations according to the way they have been selling. So if there is any information, definitely I know it will come from the NNPCL, the sole importers.
So now one question that experts have been asking is how come the price has been stable, at least since the jump from 190 per litre to about 600, in some cases 617 to 660, depends on where you're buying. How come the prices have remained stable? That maybe government is, if not fully subsidizing, it may be partially subsidizing. Do you think it's a socio-economic or political situation? And is government even partially subsidizing it?
No, you know, when we say government,
right,
they have a lot of ways of sourcing the product to see that at least they assist the masses. So that is what is really going on. So I think the question, somebody that is importing the product, that question should be forwarded to him. How comes is he selling at this rate? But as far as we independent petroleum marketers, we know that there is no any fuel increment, and this fuel is available. Just because of this festivity, maybe you may see a small scarcity.
Right.
Joining us now on the morning show to discuss the continued questions about the removal of petroleum subsidy. Is Dr. Billy Gillis-Harry, the National President of Petroleum Retailers, Outlets, Owners Association of Nigeria. Welcome to the Morning Show, Dr. Gillis-Harry. Thank you very much for joining us on the Morning Show.
Dr. Abati and Arise, thank you. Good morning, Nigeria.
Okay, Dr. Gillis-Harry, I mean, you are president of the retailers. That's the last end of it. What's your reaction to NNPC saying there is no subsidy, there is no plan to increase fuel prices, and the president of the Independent Petroleum Marketers of Association of Nigeria also saying, to the best of their knowledge, there is no plan to increase fuel price at the pump stations, and also that if NNPC says there is no subsidy, NNPC being the sole importer should be believed. What's your reaction to this? What has been the experience of your members?
Well, our experience, as you know, Petron is the last mile in the value chain for distribution of petroleum product in the downstream. And so we interface with everybody, from depot owners to major marketers to independent marketers to storage outlet owners and different kinds of people, and also the patrons, the doctors, journalists like you know, market women, farmers, everybody. So we are right in the middle of the thick, and we can give you a very accurate analysis of what the play is. If straight to your question, if subsidy is still being paid, I think that if subsidy is being paid, we should hear it from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who clearly stated that subsidy is gone on May 29, 2023. And we have also not heard from the group CEO of NNPC, Engineer Gillis-Harry. Neither have we heard from the MD of NNPC Retail Limited. So it is absolutely correct that people can have assumptive computations, associations that are busy working for the interests of Nigerians and their members can also do some projection and speculations as to what's going on. But the reality is that we can only get accurate information from the source. So if the government says there is no subsidy, that clearly means there's no subsidy. And that's the reality.
All right, so there's no subsidy. However, yesterday we saw the headlines that some marketers had said that realistically, if there is no subsidy, in line with current realities, price of crude oil, naira to the dollar, cost of movement of products from end to end, it is unrealistic to peg price of PMS at 617. So how can you work out the maths for us if you're able to? How is that possible? What kind of magic is happening where they're able to maintain that amount of money without subsidy, as NNPCL has claimed? Perhaps you can share with us a bit. Is there some concession? Is there something that we are not aware of that is helping to reduce the amount of crude, especially for Nigeria, or movement there's a factor? Share with us. How is that possible?
Well, clearly, NNPC is the sole importer of petroleum products today. The other companies also import diesel. A few companies import diesel. So it's absolutely not too correct, that other marketers don't import products. And of course, you know that in the beginning of the removal of subsidy days, we had companies like Ahmad that brought a cargo of PMS. And so it means that independent marketers, Petron members, even NATO members that can apply for license from NMDPRA can import products. But here is the thing. you cannot import petroleum product without having access to forex. And if there is no forex given to us by the CBN, it becomes difficult to guarantee consistent and continued importation. Petron as an association also have for-profit company that is also looking out for the business of our members. We have attempted to apply for US dollars, just as little as $50 million to do a consistent turnaround. And then, of course, the last governor of central bank could not get to the point where we could get that approved. So that is a major challenge. If marketers, owners of facilities, depots cannot have access to forex, then they cannot import. But let me say this. NNPC is the producer of crude oil and also gas. Incidentally, it's been a shame that for several decades of years we could not refine our own product. But don't forget that there's a domestic consumption quota that is being used for the DSDW, the swapping project, which today under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been stopped. So there's so many ways and means that government can work out the process of how service is given to Nigerians in a way that it does not really tell too badly on the economy. So if the government has said that they are not paying subsidy and allowed petroleum product to rise from where it was about 400 and something to today 600 and something naira, and there is a clear mandate that we cannot go beyond that, and NNPC is managing to make that work, I think we should give them credit and give them kudos. We don't need to be doing too much armchair speculation as to what is happening or what is not happening. But yes, we are Nigerians, 200 and something million of us. So, and we are not, we're educated, we're enlightened. We know the current realities of how the market plays in other climes. And of course, we benchmark what we are doing with the US market, with the UK market, with the Asian market, with South African market, with even other African markets. So clearly you can see that Nigeria's price is the lowest, anywhere in the world. So if the president and the NNPC are working out that mechanics of how that should happen, I think for me, as a leader of the Retail Outlet Owners Association, we should give them credit first. Then, of course, we should ask questions that are very productive. Not questions that will set panic in the system.
Okay.
Because we need peace, we need progress.
Okay.
Yes.
Dr. Billy, yes, you say we should ask questions that are productive, but it's the productive question we're asking you because we're as confused as you are. Let me ask you a very productive question. How much is the landing cost of imported petrol products in the market as we speak?
Well, you see, when we talk about landing cost now, it is not so much a public information.
Why?
Because I am not importing. So just let me take the answers, so that way we can follow through. I am not importing. Once I start importing, like Petron is doing now, we are negotiating with about 5 refineries across the world to see how we can work out payment for our products to come. If that will help in making sure that the stations are wet, we are happy to do that.
Okay, what are the negotiations threshold? Like, what's the pricing around the negotiation?
The negotiations threshold that we are working will be plat minus whatever we can negotiate. We have not concluded, so I cannot tell you this is how much per liter we can pay to land product, say in Bonny waters or in Lagos waters. So once that is done, I can come back and tell you this is what the landing cost is. Today, it's NNPC that is importing. So if they want to keep that as their business, don't forget now that they are a limited liability company that's supposed to have business secrets. So prying into knowing how much did they land and what it is for me, is a Herculean task. And we can ask NNPC directly. We can ask them, how much are you landing the product to Lagos waters? And how much are you selling? For me, on my part, as a Petron leader, what NNPC gives to me, plus the logistic cost of what lands in my station, will be anything between 605 to 610 naira.
Okay.
And I'm going to make some profit out of it to pay salary, to pay overheads, and all of that.
Okay.
So my landing cost will be what NNPC is selling to our members, and then the additional cost of logistics and overheads that will be able to run.
Because you also said the question about are we paying subsidies an unproductive question, which I feel is the most productive question in the world as we speak, due to the confusion that has happened. Let me pass this by you. As at 6th of October 2023, they said depots were deserted as petrol landing costs hit 720 per litre. So if the landing cost of a product is 720 per litre, and I still bought at the pump in Lagos 600, that means I am 120 over the landing cost. So that means 120 naira was subsidized on the fuel I bought per litre as at yesterday at Total Filling Station around Oniru in Victoria Island, Lagos. So there's a subsidy on. And you see, Dr. Billy S., it is the hypocrisy of untruths that hurts our country as we speak.
Well, let me respond to you. And I want to repeat very clearly. If anybody knows what Petron stands for, we stand for efficiency and transparency. But the transparency we can, rest our oars on will be what we can actually ask questions and have answers to. Today, we are trying to make importation. Yesterday, 5 of our companies applied online, and we are waiting to see the response of our regulators. Once that is done, I'm sure the NNPC will be happy to have, products coming in to be able to assist in what they are doing. But don't forget that all of the assets of Nigeria, all of our sovereign wealth is embedded, is handled by NNPC. And so that is a big advantage for them to work on price. And if they are the ones who are bringing PMS, at least mostly, we should be able to listen to what they are saying, challenge them where we find that something is completely amiss. But in the issue of subsidy removal, if the president has announced that subsidy has been removed, NNPC is saying that they are not paying, there's no subsidy payment, and the product has consistently been sold within the range of 610 to 660 naira, something definitely is being positively done. So I will not in any way consider that there is lack of truth from NNPC. Because don't forget that they have domestic quota for consumption, and which for many years we have not been producing. And which is why we are very happy to see that at least minimum Port Harcourt refinery is working hard to put the 60,000 per day refinery going, which again will help in reducing the cost of import values. So for me, for us as stakeholders and very critical stakeholders in the system, we want to encourage the government to do what they're doing best to make Nigerians to be more happy, to be more relaxed. Let there be no more volatility in pricing, but that does not mean that if there is a way and a means which they are working to make sure that the product is there, that we should go and start telling them and fighting them. And that's not the way I think Nigerians should go. NNPC can come to the table and we can ask the very, very, very clear questions. Yes, Dr. Bati.
Dr. Gillis-Harry, I see you have the same position as IPMAN, the same position as NNPCL. But you just mentioned the refineries now. You mentioned Port Harcourt refinery, 60,000 capacity. But we're told that it's been mechanically completed. Are you very optimistic about mechanical completion? But what I actually want is for you to comment on these refineries. Dangote refinery, which has received or to about 4 million liters of crude oil to produce maybe something in excess of 350,000 barrels. Then the NNPCL telling us Port Harcourt refinery will be ready, Warri refinery will be ready, Kaduna refinery will be ready. And then the president of IPMAN telling us that IPMAN also has plans to have 2 modular refineries, one in Calabar, the other one in Lagos. Now, of what effect would these refineries be if and when they all come on stream? The only one we're certain about now, in my view, is the Dangote refinery. Will it translate into reduction in pump price of fuel? That's one thing consumers, those who call patrons, would like to know. And then quickly, what happened during Christmas? The Christmas period, the festive season. I thought it was supposed to be a season of giving, a spirit of, fellowship. But virtually every fuel station that I went to, even if you bought 50,000 naira fuel, by the time you move from Ikoyi to the mainland and back, the thing will have disappeared. So please let us know. Is it that you retailers, you are now mixing something with the fuel, that the thing evaporates? Because I don't understand. Because what evaporates is money that is evaporating. Do you have a structure in place for ensuring integrity of your members? Because this your petrol that you are selling, I don't know where it's coming from. The thing disappears. It should not be disappearing. Serious money we are spending to buy fuel. It's not funny.
Dr. Abati, thank you for making a very serious issue, lightheartedly. I want to thank you for that. First, let me take the questions one after the other. You said you heard that the mechanical section of the refinery in Port Harcourt has been completed. Well, let me bring good news to you. I visited personally, and I went around the facility, and I went around with technically competent team that could point to facts to answer to the questions I asked. And I do have a very, very clear knowledge of what is going on there. And this was sometime in the second week of December, prior to when the Minister of Petroleum went there to declare the mechanical completion with NNPC team and all of that. I am pleased to tell you that from my experience, I'm in Port Harcourt right now, and I'm still here because I'm monitoring the refinery personally from our association's point of view. And every other day we try to get updates on that. So the refinery really mechanically was completed, and I'm aware that the refinery has started receiving crude oil. And I'm also aware that Dr. Noja, the MD of the refinery, is working hard with his team to ensure that the refinery comes on stream in the coming weeks or coming days. So that is a good news, and this is from me, as critical as I am, about what the refineries are doing and what they're not. Because we are the ones always asking for a state of emergency to be declared on all the refineries, Kaduna, Warri, and the 2 refineries in Port Harcourt. It's good that Dangote refinery is coming up. It has received crude oil. We want to be sure that it does well, and then we will give them the best support as retail association to make sure that their product penetrates all the parts of the country seamlessly. So that is good news. For Warri refinery, I'm not aware of anything personally, because I like to have empirical evidence on what I discuss. We don't just do armchair analysis or projections. We want to be able to be sure of what is a fact. And when we are called, we can be held accountable for that. So that's what it is. Now, as for your petrol that you buy, the petrol that you buy is not mixed by our members. At least in any filling station, you see the Petron sticker. And Petron is an amalgam of different organizations. Everybody that has retail outlets are ordinarily supposed to be members of Petron, but it's voluntary. So any station where you see the Petron sticker shows that this is a member of Petron. there are rules and there are processes. We have even gone ahead to develop what is called a petroleum product passport that monitors our members' intake of product and when they sell and how they sell. So that way we can be able to know what is going on and ensure that there is safety of product from depot to station and station to users. We are working very hard to make sure that this works across the whole country. And I believe that the federal government will see the value of what a local organization has been able to build to ensure that it helps Nigeria's distribution, because it can also stop smuggling when the refinery comes up. Because when the refineries come up, of course, there's going to be a lot of in-country refining and production. What that will mean is that prices will, well, not like it will come down so low, but I can assure you that the import costs would have been removed. And if the import cost and the cost of seeking for forex is removed, the tendency is that we should have a lower pricing and there should be product availability. But one thing I'm certain is that if, for instance, Port Harcourt is producing, say, 1.5 million liters a day, and they consistently do that, that will keep many stations wet, at least in the System 2 area of NNPC, which comprises almost 12 or 13 states, and even more, because most of the products will still find its way to Sokoto and the far ends of Nigeria. And when it gets close to the border, the 3P, I believe, that Petron has developed will also assist in making sure that smuggling is curtailed, at least to some level. Other than that, we don't mix anything in our petrol to make the petrol to evaporate, sir. We sell exactly the quality that has been given. And this is what the 3P solution is bringing. It ensures that the quality is correct, the quantity is correct.
All right. Thank you very much. That's quite reassuring. And I'm sure that, like you mentioned, since there are processes by Petron, then there are also punitive measures for defaulting members. Because, I mean, I'm sure you know that if with all the best interest and all, there are some members who still try to cut corners. So it'll be interesting to know what the punitive measures are. But away from that, let's talk about the effect of the removal of fuel subsidy. What some marketers have said that beyond the patrons, the people like you and I, well, people in the studio who are who buy the products, the effect in terms of the amount, the increase in the amount. Even for marketers, there's an effect of the removal of fuel subsidy. You've talked about the benefits of it, but a gentleman, marketer in Ogun State, Mr. Saju, had mentioned that even to marketers, what had been the cost of buying a truck, for instance, of petrol, which was 9 million naira pre-fuel subsidy removal, is now at about 27 million naira, so 3 times the amount of money. And so it's running some marketers, and in your instance, retailers, out of business because they cannot afford to pay that money. And for some people, they are pulling funds together to be able to buy a truck and then, sell afterwards. So in light of that, I'd like to ask you, what are some of the impacts or, impact of the removal of fuel subsidy on retailers in Nigeria?
Well, that is a very pertinent question to ask, and that's why I said let's ask productive questions so that it can guide us to what we can do, what we can suggest, and how we can be able to come out of this, quagmire. In the beginning of subsidy removal, I believe I was on a rise to analyze this, and I clearly stated that the subsidy removal is more painful to us as retail outlet owners than many others, because just like that gentleman you have said, analyzed, prior to subsidy removal, we can buy product in Port Harcourt for 45,000 liters at between 7 and 8 million naira, and you put your logistics, you'll be able to go there, and then you work out the pricing based on what the then PPRA will peg the price on, which of course we never agreed, because we did not at any time think that it was correct to sit down and just take some analysis that are not practical to determine what the pricing will be. Now, that same product that is 8 million is now 25, 26 million from NNPC. And then if you are going to buy it from other depots that have to pay some extra cost to be able to land the product in their depots, of course it will be higher. So it has depleted our buying power. It has depleted our buying power so dangerously that most of our members are finding it very difficult. Just last night, we had a meeting on how we can be able to warehouse about 5 billion naira for our members to buy product. And the cost is expensive, the cost is high. So subsidy removal is not a laughing thing for us. It's very, very hard and difficult for us. But even at that, Petron, when we took out of office, we determined that we're going to serve Nigerians and ensure that petroleum distribution is efficient and have a human face. So that's what we're doing, and we are committed to that. We're going to be doing that. So long as NNPC don't take us by surprise to come out and then just like they were doing before. I mean, before the price stabilized at 600 or something naira, you can see today it has gone up by 15 naira. On that day, it has gone up by 70. So, but today, where at least the volatility of pricing has been checked. But it also affects the buying power of our patrons. Most stations that used to sell maybe like 15,000 liters a day, today sell barely about 3,000. And yet they still have the same overhead that they're going to pay. So that is a difficult thing for us. And I believe that at some point we will get to a round table to discuss all of these difficulties. And that is why I suggest.
Go ahead, finish up, Doctor, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, that's why I suggest that in the future, meetings, committees that the president and his team will be looking out for, petroleum products, distribution, stability, and pricing, should always include the stakeholders, MOMAN, DAPMAN, IPMAN, Petron, NATO, minimum should always be there.
Okay.
So that way, accurate information can be gotten to make the decisions that will make Nigerians to feel the impact of being an oil and gas producing country.
Okay, so yet again, a lot of things you said I would like to challenge. You said that the pricing has been stable. The pricing was not stable. It was because the president announced that we'll have a stable price. That's why we kept the price stable. He announced it part of his palliative speech afterwards that we'll keep prices stable. In fact, once subsidy was removed, the price was around a little over 300 or 400. Then it rose to over 600 at a point. So there was a sharp increase on 2 price cycles. When people complained that, is this how abysmal price cycles we're going to have? That's when the president came out and he said, we will keep prices stable. So it wasn't that it was stable. Because from about 300, the first jack was from 180 thereabout to about 300, over 300, 400. Then the next jack was to 600. So we've had 2 big price jumps. So prices were not stable. That's number 1. Number 2, you claim subsidy has been removed. When you remove subsidy, you're supposed to be able to have a free, deregulated market. That's the essence of removing subsidy. Everybody should be able to bring products in. But why is it that you are saying NNPC is still principal in bringing these products in? That's the part I don't understand. And you are saying at the same time we should praise NNPC?
Well,
hang on a minute, let me finish.
I can answer this.
I've not finished. And you're saying we should praise NNPC for this nebulousness that is going on? So, I mean, I'm trying to understand it. We are supposed to have when we deregulated for telecoms, Nigeria wasn't leading. We had MTN, we had Glo, we had Airtel, we had other players, we had Econet and all of that. So why are we still falling back to NNPC and they are the ones now determining price? Because if you have truly deregulated, NNPC should never have released a circular like they released recently that prices are not going to be increased. In a free competition market, prices are determined by the competitors.
All right, let me, I thought we would have taken one question at a time so that way I could be very productive in answering them accurately. But let me try as much as I can to backtrack on some of your questions and give answers to them. One, when you say subsidies removed for deregulation to set in, I think that is just a speculation and expectation. Because we, as stakeholders, we've held several meetings planning to make sure that we are ready one day before the regulation, the day of the regulation, and one day after the regulation. So we were planning and working hard to make sure that we're able to get, plans that should be able to cushion anything. We even determined, let me even reveal a secret, that we as stakeholder associations agreed that we will regulate ourselves to the extent that there cannot be any price fluctuation or price increases just for the sake of benefiting. And we will allow our regulator, the NNPCL, to work very closely with us to make sure that every single process we bring into the market will not be something that will take undue advantage of Nigerians. So that did not happen. When subsidy was removed, the regulation was not announced. It was speculated. And we all jumped into it, typical of how we do things in Nigeria. We don't drill the subject, deep. And I'm happy when I see journalists like you, really drilling, to some depth that I think should be able to bring the answers. But I just hope that you can bring the right people on the table to ask them the questions that you want to drill through. Now, having said that, the price volatility, yes, the president made that statement. But when he made that statement, he didn't say that he's now returning subsidy. So we also have to look at, it's a brand new government. And this government that is coming in, is quite pregnant. We're expectant. Some people don't agree. Some people will somehow be doing things that is their personal interest. But a few of us I'm an independence child. So for me, the whole of my thinking is a patriotic value. Not so much of how much money I can make, because I don't know where the money will go when I'm passed. So I will only be looking for money that is adequate to take care of what today is and then plan for tomorrow. All right? So we are very passionate about how Nigeria should economically be stable. And that's what somebody like Gillis-Harry is all about, and what Petron is all about, because I'm the leader and I'll be there for at least my tenure is still subsisting for another 1 year something. So I'll be there doing the same thing that I'm doing, and making sure that there is accurate information being passed to the users, and also communicating with, I can share with you my communications with the NNPC, PPROA, NNPCL. We communicate with them on a very technical basis, based on what we know as grassroots, players in the industry. So the president said that the price should listen, because he said that in one of his public speeches, but he also did not say that he's returning subsidy. So somehow we can be able to push that in and say that the president has found some ways and means by which he's working with NNPC to make sure that the price is not as volatile as it was there. For me, that calls for some level of applause. But it shouldn't be the surprise that we'll get when we got in the past administration, where they said there's no subsidy, and then suddenly our subsidy bill went to the trillions of naira. So we don't accept everything that the government does or policy, and if there are things that we must critique and criticize, we will do that constructively and hope that there will be a listening ear and a heart to be able to implement them. So that's what I can say about that. And then I can't remember the third question you asked.
Right. I mean, I just asked it all, and I told you, to comment about the reason why, since we have a perfect competition market, is not being competitive and all of that. And you also answered the first question that I talked about.
Okay, good. So now that competition.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, let me answer that. That competition ordinarily should have been there, because we are ready. I'm sure Ipman is ready. Petron is ready. Moman is ready, Dapman is ready, and I believe even other players that are not even in the leadership of these organizations are also ready. But you have to have a source of forex, because you are not buying it with Naira. If it is Nigerian Naira, I will call my members. we have several thousands of them as members. And we say everybody contribute 50 million naira and we'll buy and pay with our Nigerian naira. But we don't have that. Central bank cannot give us. For instance, now, like today, Petron is negotiating with foreigners who have funds to lend and be able to sell to us and accept naira to develop in other areas that they want to do. That's what we are negotiating today. And Petron is in the lead of doing that. So far, I don't know other associations that are doing that, but that's what we are doing. Because if we could land PMS to Nigeria below what NNPC is giving to us, we can, and it's possible, sir. So don't just look at pricing of product from what the Platt announces and what some armchair analysts are doing. There are petroleum refineries that are willing to give their products on a negotiated basis. And you can be able to get that to work. So I think that the competition stage is set. Just last night and this morning, I have requested my Director General to try as much as he can to get registrations done and to seek for approval. And we are waiting for that. So there's nowhere the competition has been shut off. The NNPCL is still giving licenses for anybody that's qualified to do so. But when you get it, then you have to now start to source for money to be able to do your import and meet the standards, because you cannot just go and bring products that are off-spec. You must have to meet the standard that NNPCL has also set. So once you're able to do that, you're in business. And we are working towards making sure that that happens. And I pray that the government comes to support us in some way, because it's something that will help the Nigerian public, but also grow the economy very efficiently. Because it's clear to all of us that PMS plays a very critical role in the stability and growth of our economy. And right now, that is a subject that Petron is focused on doing. So that competitive tendency is there. Yes, sir.
Gillis-Harry. Well, clearly, this our conversation is of interest to other stakeholders. I've received from the chief spokesperson of NNPCL, Femi Shuneye, an intervention, which I would just like to read out. But I have my own last set of questions for you. This is what Femi Shuneye sent to me. He speaks for NNPCL, by the way. I'm sure you know him. He says, acknowledging the historical distrust stemming from years of refinery neglect, we assure Nigerians that this time our commitment is genuine. We are fully prepared to guarantee energy security for our nation. What we are doing now is industry-based testing, focusing on leaks, air, line blowing, flushing, drying, steam out, calibration, plant innerting, and afterwards we will introduce hydrocarbon. Testing will conclude shortly, ensuring the refinery's efficient operation. That phase will be completed this month. Femi Shuneye apparently here is commenting on our conversation about the Port Harcourt refinery. You say you are in Port Harcourt, but this is the clarification that he has offered. But I would like to ask for another clarification.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yes. The first the first point I would like to make is that this issue about subsidy, whether there is subsidy or not, I think in the fullness of time, the truth will come out. Economists and others, and other commentators have said the government is providing subsidy. NNPC, IPMAN, and Petron, you are all saying there's no subsidy. One day, the truth will come out. But I want to ask you, is it true that when marketers try to take product from the ports, that they are charged in dollars by Nigerian Ports Authority and the NEMASA, not in local currency, considering the fact that marketers are operating at the downstream sector of the business and the implications of that for costs at the filling stations? Are people transacting businesses at the downstream sector via NPA and NEMASA in dollars when the national currency of Nigeria is naira? Could you help us clarify that as we begin to wrap up?
Well, the reality is that that is the current play, it's the current state of play. But I can assure you that patriotic-minded associations like Petron and myself as the national president, the day our petroleum product import is landing Nigeria, one of the first things we will do is to insist that dollarization of expenses in Nigerian waters to Nigerian ports must cease. It's what we allow that happens. It's what we allow that happens. Why will NIMASA charge us US dollars or NNPCL? And we are paying. And these are part of the things that we have written to PPROA as at the time when we analyzed to them that it is not correct that we should be paying US dollars for this because they also put it in their pricing template, which means that the government supports it. And yet we have to grow our economy based on our naira. So that day is coming when Petron, like I said, my tenure is subsists for another 1 year something. So hopefully within my tenure, we'll be able to bring in one cargo of any product. And we will see how that dollar will be paid. Because we can't be allowing things to happen without challenging them. So that's all I can say.
Okay, on that note, thank you very much, Dr. Gillis-Harry, Gillis-Harry, the president of Petroleum. Thank you very much indeed for joining us on the morning show.